For this special commission meeting for Biscayne Park, Monday, April 11th. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Coviello?
Present?
Vice Mayor Watts?
Here.
Commissioner Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Anderson?
Here.
Commissioner Jonas?
Yep. Okay, if everyone would stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's meeting. At the outset, I want to clarify that today's meeting, the agenda is limited to the manager's resignation and a few related issues. This is not going to be a meeting where we discuss the 6% overage on the construction projects. That meeting has been scheduled for April 20th at 6:30. With that, there are three items in particular that we need to cover. One is the manager's resignation and a provision under her contract, which the city attorney will introduce in a moment. The appointment of an interim manager, and then Madam Clerk can discuss the new manager selection process. So those are the three items that we'll be discussing today. And so what I'd like to do first is open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, I just ask that you be respectful of others, not only respectful of your fellow residents, respectful of the people that are sitting up here, and respectful of our staff. So with that, welcome, Dan. No, not at all. Welcome.
It's kind of strange. Okay, good morning. Dan Samaria, 1030 Northeast 121st Street. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners, and to the residents in the gallery. First, I believe that holding this meeting at noon when most of the residents are at work is not right. I wish to speak to you concerning the recent events that have caused you to hold this meeting today. It appears, in my view, that the residents' money was mishandled in the process of paying for the new construction here in the village and the log cabin and administration building. The only question I have, was this mishandled in good faith? If the money was properly managed, how did we run over $100,000 over budget and members of this commission didn't know? There are so many questions that need to be answered, like who managed the oversight of the budget for this project and other than the city manager. Was there a second person to sign the checks as they were being paid? And many more questions. When the budget was first put together, was there an allowance or an expectation for overage within the course of this construction? As a member of the public and the media, I'm calling for a forensic audit to be done of the village books as it concerns this project and any other project the last 24 months and expenditures of over $50,000. This is the second time in recent memory that the village was given a lot of money for building projects, only to have problems putting together the project. As a reporter, I failed. I should have expected that someone is given a lot of money, like $1 million, it will be spent in the correct way, and that there will be people to oversee the person who is spending the money to be sure that they don't go over budget or mishandle the money, which was not done here. I am calling for a full investigation into what happened and who's at fault. And if there was others that they should be gone, like the city manager. It should not end with the city manager resigning if others didn't do their job. I think there should be a committee that includes residents and experts of the village to examine how and why this happened. Finally, I feel when we hire a new city manager, we need and expect that this commission will take its time and not rush like they did in the last case. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I just have a couple of suggestions. First of all, this was not a witch hunt. Look up the definition in Webster's and you will see that's not a witch hunt. Secondly, I would suggest not being in any hurry. Third, I would ask the league if they have any potential candidates. Next, one of my best friends very dear friend of mine, was the president of the League of Cities, Florida League of Cities. He went from Washington, he did all sorts of stuff. If you ever need any advice from someone, he would be the person to get in contact with. I'd be more than glad to talk to him if you're interested in doing that. Lastly, because of all of this controversy that's been going around here, I would suggest talking to the league before you hire somebody, out of respect to whoever that individual would be, get a forensic accounting of what went on in the village. And I'm not claiming there's any problem or anything, but if I was a newcomer coming in here looking for a job, I would want to make sure that all the accounting was up to snuff. That's my suggestion.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Oh, George.
Can you turn it off? Can you press the button? Press the button, please. Okay, you're good now.
118th Street. I just want to say something. A little shaken because I didn't know this was going to happen. I think you guys, and I'm referring to some of our neighbors, are making a stink before we have any proof. We're accusing people that are professional of doing something that probably did. And if you don't have proof, there hasn't been any accounting that proves any wrongdoing here. We are accusing people. This is the second manager that we are breaking. It's costing us money. This is a professional manager. Okay.
Thank you, George. Any other comments?
Mike Kopsick, 720 Northeast 116th Street. Last time I talked, I was pretty upset, and I'm sure I ruffled feathers, and I didn't really mean to be mean and unkind to our people up there who are doing their job. But in my opinion, previously we had some problems and the job wasn't getting done. I'm very glad to see that the suggestions that were made, that you have a meeting, bring this together, and get moving on checking out what actually happened. I'm glad to see you moving so quickly on this, and I hope to have good things happen as a result of this. So thank you very much for taking our suggestions and moving with them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Max Tiedemann, 11900 Griffin Boulevard. I just want to actually add to George's comment here. I think it's very, very important, and I've been working here in this village for the past year now, actually, on this project on Griffin Boulevard, and I've noticed a couple of things here in terms from the public as well, that we seem to have 1,000 city managers here. 1,000 code-compliant officers and 1,000 police officers and things like that. I'm from Germany. It kind of reminds me from the Germany time of East Berlin in the after the Second World War and the Cold War. This is not supposed to be like that. We have a city commission, we have a city manager and staff, and there should be oversight in a sense. If there's funds missing in a certain way, they should be investigated on an independent panel. Nobody from the residents, nobody from the city commission. An independent investigation should be done, and then we will see what the outcome is, and that will be independent in that sense. But I urge actually the city commission, the last meeting that I was here, I also mentioned that again, to let the people that we hire to do their jobs, not to try to do their jobs for them, not to micromanage them, because we won't get anywhere. So that's an important factor, and we should have to see what the investigation says.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any other comments? All right, we'll close the public comment period and open new business, matter 6A, the resignation of the village manager. Mr. City Attorney, I think there's one item in particular that we need to discuss. Could you introduce that?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to walk through this very briefly, the manager has resigned, and you have her letter there. And as a result of that, because I know this has been a question, there's no severance or any benefits paid other than the amount due and owing for her continuing employment and vacation pay. The question comes that the manager has given us 60 days' notice. The request is for her resignation to be effective earlier of April 29th, which she's entitled to do since she can give under Section 6 a notice of termination not later than 60 days. I've spoken with the manager. One of the main reasons that the manager wants to stay on through the 29th is because of this April 20th meeting that I think this commission all agree it's important that the manager is there, and the manager finds it important that she's there. So, and that would also allow for a little bit of follow-up. So the resignation has been given to us. Obviously, the resignation is effective. The question is, do you want to make it effective on June 8th, April 29th, or any other conversation there? But I do think once you make that decision, that will affect how you move forward with an interim or how you go out to seek another manager.
Okay, all right, thank you. Before I open it up to the commission, Madam Manager, would you like to say something?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to use this opportunity to say I'm very proud of my record here in Biscayne Park. Over the last 2.5 years under my leadership, we've accomplished a lot. I am proud of the staff that we have brought on board, as well as those who have been here for many years and have stepped up to the challenge of elevating this village. I am resigning in order to move forward with my career. I have some opportunities out there I would like some time to pursue, and also for the betterment of my family. Due to some of the comments, I do want to go on record and say I am not resigning due to a 6% overage on a $1.8 million construction project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Manager. All right, comments on the commission on the issue of the waiver of the 60 days?
Yeah.
Reduction of the 60 days?
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Jonas first?
You want to talk only about that one issue?
Yeah, there's 3 items on the agenda, so I would like to address that one first.
So we're not talking about the resignation, we're only talking about the waiver of the 60 days.
I mean, if there's something else in regard to the resignation you want to talk about, but to me, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, then I have other comments to make too.
Okay, sure.
So I just want to read from this resignation letter. Heidi says, "During my tenure as village manager, I believe that there were improvements that will serve the community for many years." And in her comment just now, she reminded us of a number of very positive things that were accomplished here under her management, and I want to say that I am completely in agreement with her, very grateful to her for all the terrific things that have happened in these past, 2.5 years, something like that. Whatever things went wrong that led to resign, then, that's as it is, and you've sent us a letter. But I would not want it to go without being said what improvements you helped us make around here. So in one sense, part of what I want to say is to make a motion to accept this letter of resignation, which we can talk about in a minute. Apart from that, the other issue about the timing, if it serves you to be able to move on April 29th, that's perfectly acceptable to me as a commissioner, but my only concern is that from what we have already been told, since the previous resignation of a village employee, it now feels to the village staff as if they're shorthanded. And I really would want to hear from them about how would it be for them to lose another person as quickly as April 29th. If they think they can make that work, or if we can get some kind of an additional interim person so that we have enough people to get the job done, then sure, April 29th is fine.
Okay. Why don't you address your comments, and we'll go down, and then we'll have a discussion?
Right. The manager wants to move up her time to April 29th, and I feel that we should go ahead and to go along with the manager's wishes and let her go ahead and separate from us April 29th.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Watts?
I agree with Commissioner Anderson.
Okay.
And I thank Heidi for all of her efforts.
Okay, just turn on the mic, please.
Oh.
Commissioner Ross?
So yes, there are a number of things, accomplishments that have been brought forth for the village, and of course, the manager, as the head of our executive, helped or guided that process through, and I'm very appreciative for the things that she has helped us accomplish with staff current and past. April 29th, provided that April 29th is acceptable for me, but we do need to talk about what we're going to do in the interim until we go through a process to find a new manager. Thank you.
Okay. All right, and I'm in agreement with April 29th as well, so I think there's a consensus. Do we need a motion?
It'd be nice to accept it effective April 29th. That would be clean to have a motion in a second.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I make a motion.
I already made a motion, but I did want to hear from people like Maria and Claude and Reggie and Mylan, who are here.
So that will impact your decision?
An extra burden on them.
No, understood. Okay, that's fine. Madam Clerk, any thoughts?
As three of you have already approached me and you asked me about taking on the interim, as a reminder, if anybody here didn't know, I did the same thing 3 years ago when Manager Garcia left and before we hired Heidi. 6 years of doing the budget, I'm very familiar. We have a great team right now in all aspects. I'm very comfortable. I did mention to you, Mayor, that the commission has passed a lot of ordinances these past few months, has added a lot of, I would say more so clerical things that we have to do, just in the code issues alone. So we may want to consider bringing in some clerical support for us. Whereas I'm strong in doing that clerical, if I were to take that on the interim, I would not be able to give as much time for that. So we would need to have that support. But I'm very comfortable doing it.
Okay, and you're confident that all the other departments will run with their department heads in place smoothly?
That is my opinion, yes, sir.
Okay. So Commissioner Jonas, does that address your concern with respect to the April 29th decision? Or do you, we're going to talk about staffing next, which is the interim manager position?
Well, partially. I mean, I will confide in you, I suppose, that after Christian left, there was a general sense of everybody having to work harder when we were one person down. Now we're about to be two people down, and I just want to make sure that the staff we have, even if we bring in one more clerical person who's unfamiliar with us, can handle the work. That's my only concern right now.
Commissioner Ross?
Yeah, I suggest we move on with the first issue,
Agreed.
make that vote, and then we can have further discussion.
Okay.
So if we need a second, I would second the motion to accept the resignation effective the 29th of April.
Okay, so there's a motion by, I believe, Commissioner Anderson?
No,
Commissioner Jonas? Second by Commissioner Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes, so the April 29th would be the last day. Okay. All right, let's move on to item 6B. And by the way, each commissioner will have closing comments at the end if they choose. I know it's not on the agenda, but I have a few things to say. All right, item 6B, selection of interim village manager. Oh, you want to just do a brief introduction?
Sure. So, based on that motion now, the manager will be here April 29th. Realistically, and we've done this a few times, there's not going to be an opportunity to find a permanent village manager. So historically, we have, and you need to have somebody that people know is running the ship, so you need to, in my opinion, select someone in the interim who is the point person for the city that people are expecting to be the boss who's going to operate for the benefit of the village and run the department. So it would be important that you select an interim starting April 30th.
Okay, just before we start the comments, just to add some color to the conversation, how long did it take during the last process?
It took approximately 3 months,
Okay.
depending again on the levels that you select, which we're going to discuss on 6C.
Okay. All right, comments from the commission? Commissioner Ross?
Yeah. So, not the last transition, but the transition prior to that, when Manager Spence left us and before Anna Garcia came in, or right as Anna Garcia came in, the city lost not only the manager, but almost all staff, other than a couple of clerical staff left at the time for varying reasons. Some left with him, some just were at retirement, and they thought it was a good point to break. And at the time, the city hired the firm of Severn and Trent to provide some support staffing by way of a clerk. At the time, we didn't have a city clerk either. And that very professional clerk came and worked with us for, I think, approximately 3 months until we were able to find and place Maria Camara, who's been our clerk since then. In the last transition, when we were changing from Manager Garcia to Manager Siegel, we had other people in place, as Commissioner Jonas reminded us. We also had the Assistant Public Service Director, Public Service Manager, or essentially that number 2 person that handled a lot of the outside tasks and coordinating the different departments in order to free up the manager to do other manager stuff. So right now, we're going to be down 2 positions, and for as ably that Maria handled the transition last time, I think that it is too much to put on one person, even with some clerical help. So my suggestion would be to reach out to Severn and Trent to see if they have personnel available for us to tap into for a executive position, even if it were on a part-time basis, someone to sort of hold all the strings together and have the professional background to make immediate day-to-day decisions, of course, working with the commission. And if not Severn and Trent, there's also with the Florida City and County Managers Association, the FCCMA, has a group of retired city managers that lend their services for these types of transitions and also to help cities in their search process to fill a manager position. So that's another resource that I think we should tap into and see what kind of help is available to us and an approximation of what the cost would be.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Ross. All right. Other comments? Commissioner Watts?
I think Commissioner Ross has made some very good points. However, I'm sorry. I think Commissioner Ross has made some very good points, and it may be that we could use a retired village manager to come in on a time, but I think that anyone coming in would have to be on a great learning curve with so many things, and I think that Maria, who did a fine job last time, knows everything that's going on here, and I think that I've talked with her, and I think that she has the confidence and thinks that she can do it. I think if we have a new village clerk, some clerical assistants, and maybe use a village manager, a retired village manager, to come in on occasion if help be needed. But I think at present it would save us money, and we should, I think, honor or give credence to the performance that Maria did 2.5 years ago.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Watts. Commissioner Anderson?
Maria did a great job last time. Yes, she had an extra person that is not here now, but I want to remind everybody, at that particular time period, we also had a sanitation department, and that needed to really be watched all the time. No longer we have those employees that we got to be watching from day to day in equipment breakdowns. So there's one part of that no longer we need to have employee overseeing that. I think we can go ahead. Our city clerk has done this before. She knows what it takes. If she says the only thing she'll need is some clerical help, I concur with her because she's talking from experience.
Okay, Commissioner Jonas?
Yeah, I primarily agree with Barbara and secondarily with Bob, and I think I would just rely on Maria's sense of it. She has very literally been there. She knows everything anybody needs to know about the village, and if she thinks that she and the current staff, and maybe with one other support-type clerical person, can handle things in an interim way, I don't see any reason we shouldn't assume that she knows very well what she's talking about.
Okay, I agree. I have full faith in Maria to do the work and handle the position. I do think that it's only fair, though, since she will be handling two positions, and I believe this was done the last time that we adjust her salary to accommodate the additional work. And I agree with the other comments that we should hire a temp, perhaps from the agency that Commissioner Ross suggested. I'm not sure the type of individual that they offer, but we should offer her help. So I'm in full agreement with Maria.
Right, there's a few agencies that we can be looking at, including CAP.
Okay. All right, so should we also entertain a motion for this? Yes. Okay.
Okay, I make the motion.
To have our
Dan wants to say something.
Maria, our clerk, to temporarily also to be our city manager.
Interim village manager.
Okay, so there's a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second by Commissioner Jonas. Dan, did you just want to say something quick? Okay.
Is it possible that we can help, we can ask for volunteers from the village that can help Maria? Maybe there are some residents that might want to volunteer to consider us doing that.
Yeah, I think you can, contact Maria and discuss that with her. All right, thank you, Dan. All right, so there's a motion on the table. All in favor?
What?
Ask one question, sorry.
Sure, if you want to just step up.
Sorry, just like, sorry. If Maria gets
Put as an interim village manager, sorry to kind of throw you under the bus right there. Why don't you just promote Maria and as village manager, save money in trying to find another?
That's an option.
I think we'll let Maria respond.
I mean, it's just like,
It's an option.
if you've already done the job. So.
I'm happy to be the interim manager, but I don't have any interest in being the full-time. And there's an RV waiting for me in January.
All right, get the motion.
So, Roy, I'm surprised you didn't jump out of your seat. All right, so there's a motion on the floor? Sure. Oh, after the motion. We made a motion. You want us to vote on?
I just have one question.
Sure.
Why don't you come up to the...
Yeah, just because we're taping it.
Please.
I'm sorry.
All right, well, while Noah's coming up,
Do you want to grab one behind you, if you don't mind, please?
okay, yes,
Still
sir.
on? I'm sorry.
Is it on?
Can you?
Just press the button.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Noah Jacobs, 1090, 119th Street. I'm curious what the financial implications for the next 2 months are as far as the current city manager's salary and encumbrances, and how that will impact the village along with the additional costs.
Okay, I'm not sure what you want to know the savings that we're going to...
I'm not suggesting any savings. I'm asking if the resignation is as of April 29th. There's still payment.
No. Well, there's no severance.
There's no severance.
No. Yeah, Mr. City Attorney, do you want to...
Right, right, there's, because there's a resignation, the severance provisions in the contract are not applicable.
Right.
So the village manager will be paid up to her last day of employment, and whatever vacation accrued, the same for any employee. And Maria's interim, just to be clarify here, would begin April 30th.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
That,
And we need to also vote, I think, or discuss the salary increase.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Noah's part of it really is not an issue, but if we're talking about the increased responsibility that will be on Maria, and we respond to that as we did last time by increasing her salary, it occurs to me that everybody here is going to work harder for a while, whether we change their job description or not, and we may want to think about that.
Okay. Sir, did you want to say one thing?
Just turn it on. Turn it on. Thank you.
Mike Kopsick on 116th Street. I just have a question, and, maybe it's a little crass, but being in the corporate world before, and we've had people that have left, the normal procedure, I think, is to cancel the computer codes that the person has, any credit cards or whatever, during the interim period between when they do resign and when they actually leave. And in a lot of cases, of course, people leave right away, but April 29th is, an appropriate period of time. I agreed with that. But since that's the norm, are you considering anything like that at all?
Okay, thank you, sir.
I can answer that.
Madam Clerk, sure.
Every single employee who resigns, who leaves, they go through a separation checklist. I have a list. It's got 20 items on it. You go through every single one. Includes credit cards, phones, uniforms, everything. Every single employee goes through a separation checklist. It will before the 29th, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so...
Just one more.
She's still the manager.
Okay, that's...
Just one more comment as to that is that every village check is countersigned by 2 signatures, so there's also that check.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor with respect to appointing Maria as the interim manager. We'll take that motion, and then we'll discuss the salary. Okay, so is there a motion on the floor? Remind me, Commissioner Jonas?
Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Jones.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, we'll have a discussion now on salary. Can you remind us what was done with the previous?
3 years ago, I was making approximately $50,000 as clerk, and I got an increase to $75,000 for that period of 3 months, as well as an increase of the FRS contribution that goes in accordance with the village manager.
Okay, yeah, and I was just looking for the percentage. Do we know what?
Was it done as a percentage?
Huh?
No, it was a salary increase.
But those are the same figures today? What you're currently?
Currently, I'm making 52.
Okay, so whatever percentage applies to that salary, I'd be comfortable with.
And I'm still going to suggest that we recognize that everybody is working harder until we are back up to full staff.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that comment, but from my perspective, each village department is going to be doing, each village department head is going to be doing the same work that they did. Their leader will now be Maria as opposed to Heidi.
That's not what happened when Christian left. Everybody got pieces of his job, everybody worked harder, and that will happen now too.
Okay, so, but, all right, you're referring to Christian's departure, not so much Heidi's.
No, but I'm saying the same thing will happen when Heidi leaves. Maria will not simply work twice as hard and everybody else will stay the same. That's not the way it's going to happen.
Okay.
For example, just to bring in a couple
Sure.
of examples, is we are entering or already in the process of our annual audit. And so I'm sure that our finance manager would rely on the manager to work through some of those tasks. And so it's going to be him taking it on now directly with maybe some help from Maria coordination. But that's something that is very time consuming, particularly when the auditors are here on site going through things. I mean, that's only one example of what's been
I think,
done.
and I'm not necessarily against what you're proposing, but I think rather than doing it on the fly, I'd rather see all the numbers, see the impact. You know, I don't see a reason why we can't discuss this at the April 20th meeting, I think the date is.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a laudable idea, and we maybe consider that when we get our act together regarding the budget and our financial situation. But I think that every professional has times in his or her career where all of a sudden you're hit with being on 5 more committees, a search committee, doing all these other things. And that's part of being a professional. And you just take on that load and hope that you're recognized at some point.
So you're recommending that we not increase Maria's salary?
No, Maria's salary, yes, because her
Everybody is going to work harder, not just Maria.
Yes, but Maria's going to work much harder than the increase in salary that she gets, I'm sure.
And I concur. I mean, you know, the employees are doing a good job, and I'm sure they'll continue to do a good job. They got to work a little harder for a short period of time. I don't see a problem. It's just this way industry is. Whether it's private industry or government, sometimes you have to step up and work a little harder. I do concur. We should pass on the increase to our temporary manager, like we did before. And I think we need to have a bump up to the same dollars that she had before.
Okay, Janie,
Very quick,
real quick.
I promise. Janie Anderson, 11th Place on 19th Street. What I think everybody needs to focus on, Maria is not only going to have to work harder, Maria is going to have the entire responsibility. All of us who came up through private industry have at times gotten dumped with more work. But she gets responsibility on top of it all, hence very much deserves a bump in the salary.
Okay. Listen, I would like to talk about it, but I'd like to talk about it with all the facts and the financial information in front of us. So I'd like to direct the clerk to prepare that for the next meeting.
Specifically what? What would you like to see?
The salaries of each of the department heads, and collectively, if we increase them, Commissioner Jonas, are you suggesting the same percentage? If we increase them the same percentage, the collective, this, it's just for discussion, that's all. All right. Any other comments on that, Commissioner Wall?
One other item.
It's just for discussion.
If we're directing, compiling information for the next discussion, one other item that is of importance and is coming up is annexation. And the manager has been our spokesperson in that endeavor, going to the meetings downtown and meeting not only at the public meetings, but also meeting with the key personnel making those decisions, county commissioners and others. And although we have a consultant who's helping us through that process, it's important also to have the village's face in those discussions. So I'm wondering who's going to take over those tasks for us.
I mean, in my opinion, we're paying, we're paying someone to do that job. I agree with you that it would also be a good idea to have a village representative, so I'm happy to do that and fill in for the manager. But I think the bulk of the work is still being handled by the lobbyists.
Right. But the manager has been going to those meetings.
Absolutely.
And I think
And I'll sit in.
that has brought a lot of value to the discussion, so.
Absolutely.
I think having our mayor there will bring a lot of value too.
I'm happy to do it. Okay?
Mayor, the only thing that I'd like to get settled is to go ahead and for our temporary manager's salary of getting the bump up. I think we need to get that.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that now.
By motion.
And I'll make a motion to go ahead and bump it up to the same number that she previously had.
Okay.
Can you clarify, because the mayor said the same percentage?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, yeah, I'm going to put dollars. You said yours was bumped up to 70?
75.
75? I'll make a motion to bump up your salary to 75.
Okay. Is there a second? No second?
It's a $500 difference, I think,
$500 difference?
between where she was at 50 and 52.
Rox,
It's a
cannot hear
$1,000
you.
difference, $1,000.
I don't have a calculator, but I would think that in the last 2 years, there have been cost of living increases, but I think that the responsibility this time, without a Candida or a Christian there, that Maria will have more on her plate. So I would be inclined to give her more than
okay.
actually she made
Okay.
last time.
And what are you suggesting?
I don't have a calculator with me. Another,
Okay, was there a second on that motion? Then we
No,
can
there was
make
no
another
second.
one?
So fails.
Then
Another
I
1,000.
make a motion that we do it percentage-wise
In the
as
same
it was
percentage.
before.
In accord with her current salary.
Yeah, that's what I agree. Okay.
That's good.
All right, so there's a motion by Commissioner Ross, second by Commissioner Watts. All in favor? Aye.
No.
Okay. It's,
4-1.
so with that percentage, what would the total, would be?
76,000.
76, so it's $1,000 difference, and yes.
Okay.
So 4-1?
4-1, motion carries. Okay. The last item before Commissioner comments, village manager selection process. Madam Clerk, did you want to introduce this item?
Yes, Mayor, let me get to that. Okay, what I provided for you is three pieces of information. Number one is the position posting, which details the requirements of the position, as was done last time. Secondly, I provided you what the former commission approved as to the process, step by step, including the posting, the advertising, how long until you want resumes to come in. You also had a resident review committee that time. Then you had the process of selecting. You also included the Miami-Dade County Managers Association. Then you had timelines for when you had interviews, and then when you made your final selection. Okay? And then the last page I just gave to you is we can use as a guideline to go through based on what decisions that you make. So
Okay.
I would recommend, if anybody had any thoughts on the position posting, number one, and then number two, discuss the process.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor,
Yes.
there's a few things that I'd like to see changed on the job description, the background. On the second page, where it says the government, there's some changes because the number of employees that we have here and what the budget was, et cetera. I know that. One of the other changes that I'd like to see where it says required qualifications. And it says a bachelor's degree in business administration, public administration, urban planning, law, finance, and nonprofit. A degree in nonprofit, I think that needs to be removed. I don't think we need to have the word nonprofit in there. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about that.
I'm fine with it the way it is.
Yeah, I'm fine the way it is as well.
So having a degree in nonprofit? Bachelor's degree in nonprofit?
It's just a list of examples, and then it goes on to say, individuals with other particularly strong credentials will also be considered. So it's not really that limiting or exclusive. It just gives you an idea what kind of approach we would like somebody to have had.
Okay, is that your only comment? Or only correction? or-
Well, that's the only correction. Of
Okay.
course, we need to go ahead and clean up as far as some of the other things, there are a number of employees, the dates and stuff like that.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you'll make those
Yes, sir.
revisions, okay?
Mayor?
Commissioner Watts.
I was thinking that perhaps before posting this, we should choose a committee and that, as we did before, to review the resumes. And I would like perhaps the committee to look at the job description and get some input from the residents on that as well. And I'm wondering, so at least 5 years and expected to have at least a bachelor's degree. I wonder whether or not we should say a master's degree, in my opinion.
Yeah, again, I mean, I'm comfortable with the description. I think we're going to receive resumes, and we're all going to critique them and look at them individually, so I'm fine with leaving it as it is, as open-ended as possible. Commissioner Ross?
Yeah, I think it's important that we move as quickly as we can to get this posted out there and start receiving interested candidates. So I'm comfortable with the way it's described. Yes, we should have a committee panel to review them when they come back, but as far as casting a net out there, I think that this, as it's written, is going to cast a wide net for us to, and hopefully bring in many candidates.
Okay.
Mayor, also too, going for where we have, where the position is to be advertised, I think it's good the way it was last time, and I think we keep it like it is now.
Okay, so I think that,
And I definitely think that we need to have the two committees like we did last time, working at the same time but independently from each other. One committee is going to be village managers, the other committee is going to be residents, because it worked out extremely well last time, and I think we need to have buy-in of who might be our new city manager from the public.
Commissioner Jonas, any other comments?
No, I'm really fine with the entire
Okay.
thing the way it is, and I'd like to make a motion to accept this, this plan, this scheme, and the timetable.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Jonas, second.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Anderson. Just one quick question, Madam Clerk, when is the soonest that we can start this process?
As soon as I update it, I can start immediately on our website, on the league, and just go down the line and add them. I would say by the end of the week, all of those will be out there.
Okay.
Okay, in the residents committee, do we have to meet, or can we just send you recommendations, since each commissioner can appoint somebody?
What I did, I went back to my notes, what we did last time is we send out a general email blast to all those that are interested, and I believe you all did the same. They responded directly to me. So at some point, I had like everybody's email that I provided to you all, and then at a subsequent meeting, you all selected who to be on.
All right. Is it possible maybe for the 20th meeting, we could go ahead and have this committee formed?
Absolutely. I'll give you everybody that has expressed interest before then, so you can make your selection.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. So, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, just one thing, because I didn't see it in here. I recall that last time, the materials that were required for the application submission, I asked that their transcripts from college and university be included. And I think that's very important from both undergraduate and graduate, because one of the candidates actually, when we asked for the graduate degree, couldn't come up with it. So that happens, especially in Miami-Dade, I'm sorry to say, but I would want that to be a requirement.
Okay.
Is there a consensus?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And if you're hiring someone who is 50 years old, or they may not have that information available, but I guess they'll explain why.
Yeah.
It's available through, all you do is call the registrar and pay your $5.
All right. All right. So there's a motion. Do we, all in favor? Aye?
Yes.
I hope.
Okay. All right. Before we do announcements, commissioner comments?
It's a difficult time, and it is for everybody, and just, once again, Heidi, thank you for the great things. I'm sorry about the things that didn't work out as well. And I guess I also just want to say, George, thank you very much for your opening comments, and Mike, thank you for what I guess was sort of like an apology. Thanks.
Okay. I actually wanted to read a statement that I prepared. I feel it's important to get this out, at least off my chest. So here we are, the resignation of our village manager. From an outside perspective, the resignation appears to stem from what some have called the witch hunt last Tuesday over the 6% overage on the two construction projects. From an inside perspective, I believe the troubles started much earlier than that. Tuesday was just the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. We have a professional manager form of government. That means that the manager, as the CEO, manages the village on a day-to-day basis. This system is relatively new to Biscayne Park. It works rather well when you have a qualified professional in the position, and the commission and the community allow him or her to manage the day-to-day according to the policies set by the commission. We have had a qualified professional in the position with Heidi Siegel. We also had one with Anna Garcia. Perfect? No. Dedicated and competent? Yes. In my opinion, however, we will always be faced with the situation we face today to the detriment of the village and the stable functioning of its government if we do not change our mentality. We have a tremendous group of active residents and community leaders, including my colleagues on the dais. We all have strong opinions on issues, small and large. Those opinions should be expressed in a respectful way, with the understanding, however, that no one person's views are more important than the other. Whether you have lived here in the village for 5 years or 50 years, or whether you are a part of the silent majority or the most vocal minority, when it comes to day-to-day management, we need to let the hired professionals do their jobs without micromanaging and constant meddling. This applies not only to our manager, but also to other departments, including our police and finance. We have had individuals continue to overstep boundaries, in my opinion, with the day-to-day functioning of this government. Having said that, input, ideas, and even constructive criticism in a respectful manner are important. However, the expectation that one's position is the right position always, and that it must be accepted, is not workable. I've seen on many occasions residents turn on other residents simply because of disagreement on village business. Friends become enemies. This toxic environment then permeates staff, and the us versus them mentality that seems to be so commonplace in the village takes form. Is that really what we're all about? Can you imagine what this community would be like if we all came together? So here we are. This manager will soon depart, and another qualified candidate will soon replace her. Unless we come together, work together, and end the micromanaging and bitter tone of our politics, make no mistake, we'll be back here sooner rather than later. Thank you. Other comments?
I just want to thank Heidi for all of her efforts and wish her and her family well in the future.
Likewise, I know that the big things, the really visible things, are this log cabin and our new village hall, and Heidi, of course, was the one who led us through that. We couldn't have accomplished it without her. But there are many other changes that she's brought about in the village with regard to restructuring our police department and our public works department and improving our code department. So there are other things that sort of go behind the scenes that are not in everyone's sight. And I thank her for all those improvements, and I wish her well. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish the manager well on her new endeavor.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, thank you all for coming, and we will see you on April 20th.
Announcements.
Oh, announcements, I apologize.
The special meeting is Wednesday, April 20th at 6:30 PM, and our next regular commission meeting is Tuesday, May 3rd at 7 PM.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Motion to adjourn.